I'm just going to draw your attention to something far cuter than me. If you come a little over here, you can take a look at some of the newest additions to this jungle walkthrough. These are sulcata tortoises. There are 8 in there altogether. They're not exactly native to West London. They're more commonly found in parts of Africa. Now, they've been brought here along with a whole host of other creatures to this newly opened tropical enclosure, which is open to the public here at Brent Lodge Park Animal Centre for the first time in 10 years. Now, with me to explain a bit more is Bo Jensen-McCubbin, who's the zookeeper here at the park. Now, Bo, talk me through the refurbishment that's been underway here at the park.
Well, as you mentioned, it's been closed for the past 10 years, but it was something that the community really missed. And as a zoo that's really into the local community, we really wanted to give something back. So since April, we decided to have it all refurbished. We've had a lot of help from our volunteers and the local council to be able to reopen it and give it back.
Now, I know that these tortoises, along with lots of the other creatures, have a bit of a history, quite a story. How did you get these ones in particular?
They do. These animals in particular were confiscated as part of a consignment from Heathrow, so they were smuggled into the country. And once they're Heathrow property, Heathrow then divvy it up to responsible owners, which normally 9 times out of 10 means to zoos throughout the country. So that's how we got these 8.
Wow, and is that becoming quite a problem, that there are more and more unwanted pets that are of a sort of a tropical variety coming into London, or that people have pets that, you know, they can't look after?
It does. You would think it would slow down as people are a bit more educated in these matters, but there is still a big problem with people keeping exotic pets and not really researching what goes into looking after them, taking care of all their needs. So it does really fall back on to zoos and the RSPCA and places like Heathrow. We've taken through consignments to look after them and sort the problem out afterwards.
Now, people might be looking at these tortoises thinking, oh my goodness, they're so cute, I want one as a pet, but talk me through why they're probably not the most ideal pets to have.
They're not. They're really not the most ideal pet to have. As you can tell in the jungle walkthrough, they don't particularly fit in here, but we're keeping them here in the moment because it's so hot. So they're from parts of Africa, particularly the Sahara, where it's consistently warm, and that's a difficult thing to be able to achieve in the house. Also, they're on a very specialist diet, so their balance of iron and vitamins and calcium is a very tricky thing to get right, and again, another thing difficult to replicate in the house. And also, whilst they look really cute and dinky now, which they do, they can get up to 100 kilos in a very short space of time. They're not one of the longest lived tortoises, but they're certainly one of the largest.
That's massive, but they're not the only creatures you've got going on here. What are the other rare species that people can come along and see?
Well, we've got a mix of reptiles, lizards, snakes. We've got some frogs, a lovely butterfly walkthrough. In particular, we've got some phantasmal frogs, which are a poison arrow frog from Ecuador, and they're constricted to about a 5,000 square kilometre space in Ecuador, so they're considered endangered in the wild. So we're part of a European-wide breeding programme to help keep these animals alive and sustain their population whilst deforestation is still happening in South America.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Bo. Well, I'm pleased to say that those phantasmal poison arrow frogs are behind a glass case, which is pretty good as they are deadly. They're incredibly poisonous. But if you'd like to come along and get up close to these very cute tortoises, well, this enclosure is open every day from 11 to